Has your garden hose suddenly sprung a leak? Maybe one of the ends, you've run over it and flattened it, or maybe it's just leaking at the end, or like this one where there's a big kink in it at the end and I just can't use it. Instead of buying a new hose, why don't you just fix it? It only costs you a couple of bucks for the parts, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm Monica Hemingway with the Gardening Products Review, and in this video we're going to fix the end of a damaged hose. When you're looking for a repair kit or a mender for the end of your hose, be careful that you're getting it for the right end. So obviously a hose has two ends, right? This is the female end. That's the end that attaches to your spigot or your faucet. This is the male end, and that's where your hose nozzle or your watering wand would go. So you're going to be looking for a male hose end fixer or mender kit, or a female. To replace the end of a garden hose, you're going to need one of these repair kits. And these are just ones I picked up at Home Depot, Lowe's, any garden center would also have them. And they come in a wide range of styles and price ranges. And I'm going to show you a bunch of different ones and then tell you which one we really recommend, but all of these would work. So the first option is this one. So this is plastic, which we don't normally recommend, but it is lightweight. So if you're only looking at it for a season or so, that would work. And I'll show you how to install that one. It's also available in a metal version of it. This is going to be much longer lasting, but it's also a lot heavier. So this is one I would recommend for use at the spigot end of a hose, but not necessarily for the end where you're going to put your hose nozzle, because it's going to get really heavy. This is another one I found. This one's a little different in that it crimps on. I don't know how long that's going to last. I wanted to show it to you because it's out there. This is not one I would typically recommend. The other reason why is this. Now this is the end that goes on the spigot or the faucet, and this is just a piece of stamped thin metal. It's not going to be as sturdy as something like this kind of end. Now the ones I recommend, because they are most likely to stay put, are these. And these ones clamp on to the end of your hose, and this clamp really tightens down, so it's going to be much, much stronger and less likely to leak. The problem is you've got this thing sticking out, so I'm going to show you how to fix that problem. Another consideration when buying these repair kits is the size of your hose. Most of these are for 5/8 to 3/4 inch hoses. Now that's a typical hose size, but a lot of people also have a 1/2 inch hose, which is smaller. Be careful when you're buying one that it says that it's for the right hose size that you have. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, I'm going to turn off the water, and then let's start repairing the end of this hose. How you cut off the end of the hose really depends on the diameter and the thickness of your hose. So with a lightweight or a 1/2 inch hose, you might be able to cut them with just a pair of kitchen scissors. What I usually end up using is a pair of pruners. Now make sure they're bypass pruners, not anvil pruners, so they work like scissors. And you should be able to cut through most hoses with that. If you can't, another option is a utility knife, and you would cut right through the hose with that. Some people I know will also use a saw and a miter box to get a really square cut. So that's for cutting your hose. You'll also need either a Phillips head or a flathead screwdriver. So check the mender kit that you're using to see which one it needs. And a few of them also need pliers of some sort. Okay, so I'm getting ready to replace this end. This is the female end on this hose, and somehow in here it has sprung a leak. Now if you've got one of these collars on it, you're going to cut the hose off right here. Otherwise you can cut it closer to the end. And to do that, obviously, this is a nice heavy-duty 5/8 inch hose. The scissors aren't going to work. I'm going to give it a try with the pruners. Again, bypass pruners. And you're trying to cut it as close to 90 degrees as you can. You want to make a nice clean cut across at 90 degrees. So that was pretty good. If that hadn't worked, I'd have taken out my trusty utility knife and done it with that. So once you have the end cut off, you're going to put your repair parts on. First thing to do, as it comes apart like this, is you're going to unscrew the screws on this clamp part. You can take them all the way apart if you want to. I prefer to leave them part way in because I've been known to lose those screws. That's not a good thing. And you're going to slip it over the end of the hose. Next step, real simple, is you're going to take this end and you're going to insert it into the hose. You just have to push it in. Now I often find that's easier said than done. So one little trick here is to soak the end of this hose in boiling hot water for a few minutes. That's going to soften it up, it'll be more pliable, and it will expand as you put the hose end part into it. So I'm just going to leave it here for a few minutes and then we'll come back and put the end in. Okay, I think the end has softened up enough, so I'm going to try and push this in. This is the hardest part usually, and you want to get it all the way in. You're gonna need something to push it in because this part moves. So again, that is the hardest part, but you can see it's fully in right now. You might have noticed that one thing happened. This washer that came with it fell out. Don't lose that. You're going to want to put that washer in there before you attach it to the spigot. So make sure you keep track of where that is. So now that that's in order to keep it in place, you're going to simply tighten this clamp up. I'm loosening up the screws a little more so that I can get this all the way up to the end of the hose. Once the clamp is firmly at the end of the hose, you simply tighten up the screws. And do one, then the other, and go back and forth. If you tighten one all the way up, you might not actually be able to get the other one tightened down at all. And that's all there is to it for this type of repair kit. Now, as I said, this is plastic. It's not going to last as long. And you can actually, I don't know if you can see, but in the process of getting it on, I actually damaged it. Right? So this is one option. It's a very easy option. It comes in metal, so that's the option I would recommend. What I prefer to use is this system instead. All right, so I'm going to quickly show you how to do that one. So for this one, I've already cut off the hose end. I've softened it up in hot water. And I'm going to use this clamp here. Now this one takes a flathead screwdriver. And as you turn it to the left, it opens up the clamp. If you turn it to the right, it closes the clamp. So I'm going to slide that over and push this into the end, just like we did with the other repair kit. Okay, that's firmly in there. I'm going to take this clamp, I'm going to put it right near the end here, and I'm going to turn the screw to the right, which is going to tighten it up. And we'll tighten it up as tight as you can. Okay, that's pretty good. Now you'll notice this thing is sticking out and you've got this. That's something you probably don't want to have. So push it down as much as you can, and then what I recommend you do is you use electrical tape. The tape we recommend is this one, the Scotch Super 88. It's probably the best one out there. It sticks really well and it will last you at least a season when you've got this covering the hose. So really simple here. I'm just going to go around a few times to cover that up. There we go. Now you don't have any loose parts sticking out. Yes, you have that, but this is the end that goes on the spigot, so that won't really be a problem. Again, make sure the washer is in there. And that's all there is to it for repairing a hose. All those different hose menders, usually they work in the two different ways I've just shown you. This is the one I like best because it's going to be tighter, it's going to be firmer, and it's not as likely to slip out or to leak And that's all there is to it when it comes to repairing the end of a hose. It took me maybe 3-4 minutes to do it. Couple of tricks, of course, is that hot water, making sure you've got the right size, either a 1/2 inch or a 5/8 or 3/4 inch. One thing I didn't mention as I was putting this repair kit on is that this one may not work really well if you've got a really thick, heavy-duty, premium, contractor grade, usually rubber hose. They tend to be a lot thicker, and sometimes these types of clamps won't fit around the hose, in which case you're going to use this kind. So think about that when you go to the store to buy your repair kit. Thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe. There's a button right down there. I'd love for you to join us, and we're here every week with more tips and product reviews for the yard and garden. See ya!